I am the Judas Resurrection.
Great Sunday, Mike. I was on a job once, and the people said, we were sure hoping you could show up on Sunday to do this. We weren't ready for you yet. To the crew and me. And it's in our policy. We're supposed to have small talk, but don't include controversial topics like politics and religion. And I see people do that stuff sometimes. I'm like, ooh, back off, man. You don't know what this customer is thinking about this stuff. You're going to screw everything up and make for a bad experience. But this time that these people said we were hoping you could show up on Sunday, I went ahead and made light of disregarding policy and got away with it. I told them, I said, well, you know, I drink a lot more wine than I'm supposed to when I'm in church. And company policy has it that we can't work within 4 hours of our last drink. I said, so if I'm going to church, there goes the rest of the day for me to be able to work. And they got the joke, and they said, ha, ha. At the point, I got to talk about alcohol and religion in a way that made it look like I was a good Catholic, even though I made a joke out of it. It's deception. And I was just remembering this experience a few minutes ago. And I saw it took me back to my time in Catholic school in about the 3rd grade or something. I told you about this, how we had a substitute once. And she was up there telling us she shouldn't have been saying it. But she told us, the whole class, she said, the thing is, any one of you can be whatever you want in life when you grow up. She even said that any of the girls could be president if they wanted. Hasn't happened yet. However, when she said that to us, being a good Catholic, being a good child of faith at that time, just in Santa Claus and then religion when Santa Claus was no longer there for me, I thought about this thing. My faith naturally said, I believe it because somebody in the Catholic school told me that. But I said, what is it I want to be? I just never had anybody ask me what I wanted to be. She didn't even say, what do you want to be? She told us all we can be whatever we want to be. I didn't know what I wanted to be. I thought about it. I said, I don't know. And I went through the years, and I lived through the time of George W. Bush. But before that happened, I had been 22 years old, and some girl came up to me out of nowhere and said, oh, you're on your last life. And at that point, I said, well, if that's the case, I might as well enjoy it. And then George W. Bush came around, and I remembered that moment too. I said, well, if we can be whatever we want to be, this guy must have decided, even though he's not too bright, C student at best, he could still be an asshole. And so he did what he wanted to be. Me, what do I want to be? And I realized I want to be happy. I want to have a life that I enjoy. And I've pulled it off. Really. If you look at some of these horrific experiences I've had, which other people would consider horrific, I found them entertaining. Who, me? I get to do this and go through and just and enjoy the thing like you're in a movie and people are just going, holy fuck, how do you get away with that? That's what I did. I found that my life, though I don't have a lot of money, I'm chock full of wealth. I got a good family. I've got good friends. I have good times. I actually have a job where I have good supervisors and management. And as bad as the job can be at the time, having good supervisors and management makes it a place that is rewarding to work for. The other way around, if you're doing a good job and everything's great and you've got assholes up above that are saying you're never doing enough, that's a downer. To be in a place where you work hard and people treat you well, that gives you a reason for being without saying, what the fuck am I doing here? That type of thing. So to enjoy your life, to have good times, that's really important. But the same way I enjoy my life and have good times, I've known for a long time, I've understood anyway, that there aren't that many people that can live the kind of good times that I have. Before they ever came up with the 5%ers or something, I'd already been saying it. 95% of this society has to follow a certain amount of rules and do things in their own way as it adjusts. There aren't that many of us. Eh, like the bums, 5% of people, if you only have 5% of the people are bums, the system can still work. And I can slide in with that 5% of bums, but still cover my own ass. Just the idea that I'm not following all their rules and I'm staying out of trouble. I'm doing things my own way. I, I don't even know that it's my own way. It's just the way I react and respond and create out of the things that happen to me. That's a good thing. Not everybody can live this way. And it's the idea that people come up to you in the, first impression, small talk conversation that happens either when you first meet somebody or when you run into them again after years. And they say, so either what do you do for a living or what are you doing these days? And I look at them and I say, I'm enjoying my life. And they kind of blink and they say, well, yeah, but what are you doing? I say, what it is I'm doing does not define me when it is what I'm doing is for money. The what I'm doing, it applies to how I'm doing it. The money's not going to make you happy. It's how you do it that makes you satisfied and pleased with the way things are going. I've had a good life. How do you do that? You make your base for satisfaction in your everyday living. And if that includes your workplace, fine. But if your workplace is the basis for your joy, maybe you shouldn't be in a family because They are suffering in their own ways because of that. And that's the pebble in the pond type of thing. It's dropping a pebble in the pond, and the waves go out, but they come back. What is in those waves? You know, is it going to be aggression? Is it just going to be work complaints? Or is it going to be joy in the life you're living every day with the people around you? If your base for joy is in your personal life and your workplace is a supporting factor of that, that's okay. But if your base for your pleasure and your enjoyment and your satisfaction and your healthy, wealthy lifestyle, wealthy, you drop that pebble in the pond, it goes not so far away before it hits the people around you. Even if you're not enjoying the people around you, it works that way. What comes back is this little wave of pleasure or pain if what you're putting out to the people closest to you is bad. That badness comes right back. You put it into a stranger on the street, they take it to their wives if they can't get to you immediately, and then their wife does something to somebody they know because they're upset, and that other person is upset, and it comes around. You're going to run into somebody again that puts what you put out back on you. That pebble in the pond, it can be very lightweight unless it's not working to make you happy. That pebble in the pond can become the weight of a boulder. And how many times are you willing to pick up a boulder to drop in a small pond? It just throws the water out over the edges and splashes on everyone else around you. And that little smooth wave, an element of the universe, calmly moving and coming back. It ebbs in the tide. That's up to you. You do things the way you want to, make them work for you. But if you find that there's always aggression coming back your way, you've become that guy in mythology that's got the boulder on his shoulders that has to keep climbing up that hill constantly, constantly, constantly. You could even be just Atlas standing there with the boulder on your shoulders, the weight of the world upon your shoulders. Nine of Wands. How long are you willing to hold the weight of this boulder, Paul, before you just dump it off every once in a while? Atlas shrugs. Great Sunday, Mike. Have faith in yourself. Religion has stolen our faith, and they try to sell it to us on a tithe. Faith is in every one of us. It's a human trait. Don't let them make you a servant to them. Don't let them let you think that the only way you can be happy is by giving your happiness to them, that they can dole out any way they please. Because once that happens, you become a servant. You become a peasant to their pleasure. Great Sunday, Mike.